2. Tuesday morning. The phone bleeding on the nightstand woke me from a dreamless sleep, but John Jr. was my first waking thought, just as he had been my last conscious thought before I closed my eyes. It was as reflexive to me as blinking. After 2 years grieving him, missing him, tearing my guts out over his death, he never really left me. At least he was no longer every thought in between my first and last. There had been periods during that first year when I felt I would choke on his constant presence, when I would have given almost anything for a few minutes of simple forgetfulness. It got so oppressive that I began hating the son that I had loved more than myself, and then hated myself for hating him. The TV was still on, but tuned to SportsCenter, so it could have been any time of the day or night. I looked out of the southeast-facing window of my room and saw the sun was relatively low in the sky. I felt the weariness still deep in my bones and knew I hadn't been asleep very long. I reached for the phone. "Yeah, what?" Nothing. I dozed off with the phone still in my hand. This time, when it rang, I managed to press the talk button. "Yeah. Gus, there's a gentleman down here asking to see you." It was Felix at the front desk, his Filipino lilt less prominent when he was speaking in front of a guest. "What time is it?" I asked, even as I stretched to see the clock radio. 9:17. I yawned. "This gentleman have a name?" "He won't give me his name, but he says you have dealt with him in the past." "That really narrows it down. What's he look like?" Felix cleared his throat and, without a hint of guile, whispered, "Trouble." I laughed, felt the smile on my face. It didn't used to feel so foreign. "Tell him I'm sleeping." "Don't you think I have attempted that, Gus? He said he will wait down here all day if that is what it will take." Then Felix was whispering again. "He's a rough-looking man with tattoos, and he makes me nervous." "All right, tell him to go wait for me in the coffee shop, and I'll be along." "When?" "When I get there." "Thank you, Gus." For my part, I was in no rush to get downstairs, but I liked Felix. He didn't have much of a heart for confrontation. Then again, I had spent most of my adult life collecting scar tissue from it. It's what cops did. I brushed my teeth, finger-combed my grief-gray hair, that's what my sister called it, and pulled on my Costco wardrobe. Kirkland jeans, black Tommy Hilfiger sweater, Kirkland athletic socks, and running shoes. My Glock and ammo were the only pieces of my outfit that I hadn't bought at Costco. Even the black leather jacket I wore had come from there. It was a 5-step stroll to the elevator from my room. The room was part of my deal with the Bonnickers, the family that owned and managed the Paragon. I drove the van from 6 to 6, 3 or 4 nights a week, and occasionally acted as house detective. Although the hotel was half empty most of the time, the Full Flaps Lounge did big happy hour business because of its proximity to a large industrial park and office buildings. And when it was turned into a 70s and 80s throwback disco on Friday and Saturday evenings, things sometimes got a little hairy. Middle-aged men flexing their weekend beer muscles for drunk divorcees could get ugly, and often did. The Bonnickers liked knowing that when I called the cops, they came, and fast. The lobby of the Paragon was actually a pretty grand sight if you didn't look too closely, and if your taste ran to the spare. Completed in the mid-'80s, the hotel had gone through several incarnations. The last time any serious work had been done on the place was prior to the 2008 financial collapse. It took more body blows after JetBlue declined to set up shop at MacArthur, and Southwest began shifting flights to LaGuardia. The Paragon had already changed hands 4 or 5 times when the Bonnickers bought it. The rooms were cheap, clean, and available. If that wasn't enough for you, you were shit out of luck. I nodded at Felix as I came off the elevator. He pointed his short little arm at the hotel coffee shop, poking the air with his finger. "Big man, Gus. Very big." "I hope you take this the right way, Felix, but don't you talk about my height again. I am the same size as Manny Pacquiao." I took a boxer's stance and threw a shadow jab. "Too bad you don't punch like him." "There is going to be trouble, do you think?" "I guess we're going to find out." I walked into the Runway coffee shop, the walls of which were covered in murals of great moments in aviation history connected to Long Island. Lindbergh taking off from Roosevelt.